Minute that I feel this beat, minute that I feel the need, minute that I need to hustle, minute that I need to speak, minute that I let this start, minute that I feel my heart, minute that you're feeling me, a minute that we get to spark, minute that you're feeling lessons, a minute that we get respect, minute that we get connected, the minute that we're feeling blessed. 60 minutes tick the consistent.
We're here today with Australian Poetry Slam champion Luca Lesson. Luca, hi, how are you going?
Hi, good, how are you?
Good. It's an interesting name. Where did it come from?
The name came from, for a long time, when I was first rapping, the word lesson came up because I was doing a lot of workshops, even from like the very beginning of me, of rapping and writing, all of a sudden I was teaching. So lesson as in a teacher, as in a classroom. And Luca is my first name, and I was then performing poetry as Luca, but I was performing my hip hop as lesson, and people didn't know who was who and what was what. So I put them together, and that's what I am now.
If we're going to talk about rap, it's probably a good idea to think about where it came from. Can you tell us a little bit of the history behind it?
Hip-hop first started in New York City, where there were DJs playing certain types of music, and in that certain type of music there was a breakbeat, what they call a breakbeat. And this was in the late 70s and early 80s, and that breakbeat got looped over and over until people started talking over it, and that was the beginning of rap, and people started dancing to it. That was the beginning of break dance because of the breakbeat. And all these different facets of a certain art and culture just started growing in this melting pot of culture and community.
So you referenced hip-hop. What do you think the difference is between hip-hop and rap?
The difference between hip-hop and rap is that rap is an element that comes under the umbrella of the culture of hip-hop. So hip-hop is a much wider thing. It includes graffiti, it includes dance, it includes rapping, and it includes DJing, so turntablism. So these different skills are the four different elements of hip-hop. So rap falls under that and is one of the most important parts of it.
So you're Australian slam poetry champion, and we've talked a little bit about poetry, and you've talked about rap. So can you explain a little bit about what the similarities between poetry and rap are?
For me, the difference is that rap is set to music. And even though some poetry is set to music, rap is set to music in a very structured way. You have to adhere the amount of syllables that you write to the bars, to the rhythm of the beat. So it's important in that way when you're writing a rap to be listening to music, or to at least have a beat in your head that you're writing to make sure that your work is musical. Poetry, on the other hand, when I memorize a poem, I can slow it down, speed it up, sing, be rhythmic, not be rhythmic. It can rhyme, it doesn't have to rhyme. So poetry, there seems to be a lot more freedom in many ways, but rap seems to have a lot more impact.
So what do we need to actually start writing a rap? Like, what comes first, the rhyme or the idea?
It can happen either way. It depends on what kind of inspiration comes. Sometimes I'll wake up with a rhyme in my head that I never knew or never thought about writing, but it's the beginning of something, and then from that I decide on what the idea is and extrapolate and make it bigger.
Okay, so can you give us some examples of some simple and some complex rhymes?
So an example of a simple rhyme would be something like, I walked the cat, we jumped on a mat. And then a complicated rhyme would be something where, or a complex rhyme, would be something where the rhymes are happening within the syllables or within the line. Illegitimate, illiterate, and limited. Little did I know that in a minute I'd be killing it. I'm vivid like in cinemas, so my synonym is vividness. I stick it like I'm cinnamon and kill it like a militant. These things are all these words that have the same rhyme within the syllables. So they therefore sound better, but they're also harder to catch. So it depends on whether you want to convey the message or convey the feeling or emotion or skill level of your rhyming technique.
So in your poetry and your rapping, what do you choose to write about?
Often what I write about is about issues that I think need to come to the fore, that need to be expressed, that people need to hear about. But I'm also a human, and I need to write about love or hanging out on the streets with friends, or, you know, anything and everything that is still part of me as a person. But sometimes as a function, I get quite passionate about things, and I think it's easier to write about something you're passionate about than to just decide on anything, you know.
What do you think the key features of a good rap song are?
I think number one is passion, you know. I think there's got to be some sort of confidence about the person that's performing and strength in what they have to say. So they know what they have to say, which is why the element of hip hop is knowledge.
So when you've got a rap that you're happy with, what happens next? Where do you go to perform it?
There's lots of places you can perform. Unfortunately, in Australia, we don't have such a huge hip hop tradition. But if you're in the main cities, there should be an open mic, or there should be some sort of an opportunity for young people in different spaces to perform. Even if you're at school, I often come across events that are happening, blue light discos and all sorts of things where young people are able to get up and perform.
Thanks so much for chatting to us today. I'm Lena, this is Luca, and see you later.
Tell me how am I meant to fight when your tendency is to run? How am I meant to be right when you can't tell me when I'm wrong? How am I meant to prove myself when you're never calling my bluff? How am I meant to fight when even my enemies aren't enough? While the onus is on me, I'm choking on my speed.